Hello everybody, we are going to be doing an Eastern Final preview and I'm going to be predicting who I think is going to win this game at the end of this video. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new to the CFL, if you're interested in the CFL and you want to watch more content. I like talking about the CFL a lot and I would like to make money off of it, so we kind of have a match made in heaven. So if you are new, please subscribe. Now let's talk about this matchup where you have Montreal going into BMO against Toronto. Montreal is 9-9 on the season. Toronto was 11-7. The two sides played each other 3 times during the regular season, with Montreal losing 2 of those 3. Obviously, Toronto won 2 of the 3. And it'll also be the first playoff meeting between both sides since the 2012 Eastern Final, where Toronto would go on to win that game and then win over the Calgary Stampeders in that Grey Cup. So Argos fans are pretty excited about that. Now let's talk about some key factors / storylines for Montreal before getting to Toronto and my pick. So for Montreal, who is going to be the starting back? We saw last week that it was a split role. And what I mean by that is that there were 17 carries between William Stanback and William Stanback. Well, Fletcher and William Stanback. Fletcher got 10 of the carries, Stanback got 7. So you're thinking it's pretty evenly split. Not necessarily. Stanback got 5 of his carries late in the game where they really needed an experienced back to hold on to the ball and kill clock. So up to that point, it was 10-2, and Fletcher had made some plays, with receptions as well. This is where I would say Fletcher is probably going to be the guy that they go to, and that is going to be what I would expect due to Stanback kind of getting in the rhythm again. Will the ground game be even effective? Tough to say, as they really were not able to use their backs a lot, or they really didn't use their backs a lot during their matchups. And I do think during those losses they had to play catch up. So again, much like the Hamilton series, they had to throw the ball not as much as they did against Hamilton, but we didn't get to see them, have a back get 20 carries in a game, I don't think. We will see though, and I'd imagine Fletcher going to be the starter. As for what the defense can bring against McLeod Bethel-Thompson, that will be a very key storyline in this matchup. Montreal sacked the Law Firm just twice in their 2 significant games that they played each other. I don't count the last regular season game, and so in those 2 games, a sack apiece, and that is not going to be cutting it after they really showed what they were capable of. Montreal, that is, when they made life miserable for Dane Evans. Even if they weren't getting a sack or bringing him down, whatever the case may be, they were getting pressure and pushing him back, really making it hard for him to step up in the pocket and deliver a throw. That is what they're going to have to do here. I think that this is going to be an interesting matchup though, because Toronto did have issues guarding their starting QB. Earlier in the year, the signal caller had an 8-game span where he was sacked 3 or more times in that 8-game span, 7 times. So after that, it only happened twice. We can kind of see earlier on in the year that it appears they had more issues protecting their quarterback. And then later after that it was cleaned up a little bit. I'm curious to see though who wins that matchup, because if they're able to get QB pressure like they did against Hamilton, like I said, could be a very long day for Argos fans. As for the final storyline factor with Montreal is, will they be able to stay ahead of the chains? In the 2 significant games that they played against Toronto, they went 16 for 44 on second down. That is 36%. Yeah, I think they did get 2 third down conversions in those, maybe a little bit more. But either way you look at it, if you get an incomplete pass here or a run that gets stopped at the line there, that is not going to bode well for you. And I think that they are going to have to get ahead of the chains by relying on multiple guys. Hergy Maella would be one I'm interested to see. I didn't think he got a target in last week's game. He was listed as a starter on the roster, but he has been kind of disappointing to start this season, really all season. But he had flashes, and he was a signing that I thought would be a great pickup for them. It'd be nice if right now he'd be able to come on in and get 50, 60 receiving yards. Like I said, he is listed as a starter, at least he was last week. So if he is not going to be able to put up anything in this game, that is going to be very disappointing from them. Accuracy was not a big issue on second down for Trevor Harris, or in general in last week's game. So if they could get a more reliable Trevor Harris that is, for themselves to just get in a spot, second and short, or just continuously get first downs, are going to be all right. And I think that is going to be good for them. As for Toronto, Can their defense wreak havoc again? They led the league in interceptions, I believe at 29. Might have been 28, but I think it's 29 that I have here in my notes. And they have a knack for making plays, big plays in general. They had 8 sacks in the 2 games that they were playing, significant games against Montreal, like I previously mentioned, and that is going to be a factor there. You look at what they're able to do. If they can get pressure on them and get interceptions, you're probably looking at maybe even a defensive score in this game, or at least getting your offense in a position to score for them and for your team that is going to be good. Now, it's easier said than done because Trevor Harris has just 2 interceptions in his last 180 passing attempts, and that is basically 1% of his past 200 passes. So that is very impressive, and I'd like to see, is Toronto going to be able to capitalize and make some big plays, or is Trevor Harris going to keep it up where he hasn't really been turning the ball over with interception? As for other storylines for Toronto, is Andrew Harris back? That is a big thing here. Harris missed most of the year with a torn pectoral muscle. I guess it was week 10 that he was out, so a good chunk of the season. And you wonder, does Toronto need to even make him their starter? Do they even need to use him? How is this all going to play out? Because Harris wasn't particularly dominant when he was there in Toronto. Kind of like what we saw with Brandon Banks. A big flashy name came in, everybody got excited. They were, for the most part, kind of underwhelming. And I think for them, while they understand he is a future Hall of Famer, this season he didn't really look like a Hall of Fame player. And I just don't really know if they have to make him their guy in this matchup. We'll see though. And also, does he have enough left in the tank? Let's say Andrew Harris is kind of at the point where he says to himself, I really only have it left in me to play this final 2 games. I bet he would have given everything he could to win these 2 games, to win another Grey Cup, but I'm not in Andrew Harris's head or in his inner circle, obviously, so I have no idea. Now, this last storyline is going to be more of an off-field thing, but still on-field, and that is, what does this game mean for Toronto's coaching staff? I am very curious to see what Corey Mace can come up with for his defense and what his future of the coaching is in the league for him. Mace is viewed as this guy that, kind of got this defense going this season. And they certainly are not a bad group. I just really want to know, is this going to be a game where they really do well? They go into the Grey Cup, maybe they have some success there, and Mace says, I'm ready to go coach my own team. That is going to be curious for me to watch out for. And I think for him, he is probably thinking about that as well. I think this is his first season as their defensive coordinator, but I can't be 100% certain. As for Ryan Dinwiddie, will he be able to live up to the hype? He's gone 20-12 in his first 2 seasons, but this team has been far from the class of the league. Most people would argue they're the 4th best team in the league right now, which is problematic. They have the 4th best record, so I guess that really holds up, and they struggled to hang out there with the other top teams. Are they top dogs? I'd argue not yet, until they've proven to do so. But under Dinwiddie, this is going to be a game that I am excited to see if he is able to get his guys going and to get a win in this Eastern Final. And for him, I think the seat could be a little toasty if they lose this game. Nothing crazy, but if you get there back-to-back years in the Eastern Final and you can't get over the hump, people are starting to probably say, this guy's got us there, but we can't get past this point. I don't know. I don't think it'll be that toasty, but just a little bit warm. As for other storylines here, will kicking matter? If so, Toronto has a way bigger advantage than Montreal, especially from deep, I would say. David Cote is something like 2 for 9 from 50-plus yard field goals in his career. I saw that. I think it was tweeted out by Dave Naylor. And Boris Beatty, he is automatic from deep. So for the Owls, you're probably thinking we cannot have Cote kick a field goal deep in this game. So if it comes down to a kicker, I'm going with the Argos for them. And then also, what could this mean for the CFL in terms of 2 really big markets coming to clash in an Eastern Final? This could be good for them, as you see BC, Toronto, Montreal, all clubs that don't have the best attendance in the league year in and year out. BC looking better than years past. But if they could have a really good game, I think this would be a good thing for the league to get more fans attracted in those bigger markets and to get more money out of it and to kind of get the buzz going again. As for my final verdict in this game, I'm picking Toronto. I know it seems crazy. I really feel like with the way Montreal played last week. If they play that way again, they are going to win this game easily. But Toronto, if they're able to get pressure on Trevor Harris, get some turnovers like they've been able to get turnovers at points this year, and have a good game from McLeod Bethel-Thompson in the offense, they're going to be all right. I don't exactly know if Andrew Harris is going to be used a lot in this game, but in general, if the Argos are able to keep it clean offensively for their guys too, you're probably thinking McLeod Bethel-Thompson is able to push the ball a little bit deep in this, maybe Curly Gittins Jr., somebody like that, but we will have to see. I think for Toronto, if they're able to win this, they're going to be in a good spot to play either BC or Winnipeg, thinking about kind of what they're going to do after that, but they don't want to get ahead of themselves. They don't want to think about, well, if we win this, we're one win away from the Grey Cup. We'll have to see though. What is your pick for this game? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night.